There we go, audio. Hello, continuing on with the study of Alice A. Bailey's book, Esoteric Psychology. I wanted to try and make two quick videos summing up definition C, definition of the soul, that defines it as a unit of light energy. This section covers the first three rays in relation to the types of light energy that the soul embodies and exudes for the people that are on that ray type. And then the second section will wrap up with rays 4, 5, and 6. And the highlights of this little section that I found the most attention grabbing and interesting were how Bailey relates, or the Tibetan relates, the first, second, and third ray to the animal kingdom, the mineral kingdom, and the vegetable kingdom. And also it gives a little quick kind of spiritual scientific method, which is very interesting, that says that the process of knowledge is that knowledge knows its own ends and works towards those ends through the process of 5 E's. First, experiment, expectation, experience, examination, and exaltation, where it produces a final exit. So we'll go over that. Another main quote is that the field of knowledge vibrates with intelligent response to the slowly emerging will. And our will is always revealing itself more and more, will being our desire for our God force. The source within is constantly revealing itself and emerging in intelligent response to our accumulation of knowledge and application of Spirit's scientific method. It's kind of just a summary of how I interpreted it. So let me go ahead and try and read this as quickly as possible. If you are following along with the book, in the book, it's page 45. I like 44. Continuing on. In the second paragraph on page 44. The will of deity colored the stream of energy units, which we call by the name of the ray of will or power, the first ray. And the impact of that stream of matter, of space, ensured that the hidden purpose of deity would inevitably and eventually be revealed. It is a ray of such dynamic intensity that we call it the ray of the destroyer. The first ray is the ray of the destroyer. It is not as yet functioning actively. It will come into full play only when the time comes for the purpose to be safely revealed. Its units of energy and manifestation in the human kingdom are very few. As I earlier said, there is not a true first ray type in incarnation as yet. This was at the time when Bailey, or the Tibetan channeled, Bailey channeled the Tibetan for these teachings or for this book. At that time, there was no predominant historical figure or entity, embodied person, appearance, person in form who embodied the first ray type of the destroyer, because it said that it was such a powerful ray, such a powerful emanation of deity and expression of the will of God, the ability to destroy something. That power was so volatile. So we see it on the opposite, reflecting people that do it without that divine expression. It's the opposite of that. It's just kind of a reckless expression of destruction, and that's not a divine order of it, meaning like you would break something down because you understand that it's purpose. So it's saying that at that time there wasn't anyone who was able to handle that potency. Its main potency is to be found in the mineral kingdom, therefore, and the key to the mystery of the first ray is to be found in radium. Very interesting, radium and the periodic table. I don't think I wrote it down, but the number of, let's see if I can see real quick, which periodic table number radium was, because I feel like that was something distinct. 88. Oh, it's the symbol Ra, atomic number 88, Ra, Ra, for radium. That was the interesting part. So that's not important. That's like some numerology stuff that I was kind of playing with. Anyways, radium. So there's this idea, not this idea, this documentary that there was back in the day about the radium girls, women that worked in a factory where they had these clocks that were all actually had radium as an ingredient in them because it has the power to illuminate or make this glow in the dark effect. And so they were in these factories, and the women were working with radium on a daily basis. And they were kind of painting on the hands of the clocks that they would sell, watches and whatnot, and clocks. And they would dip their paintbrush into the radium, or first they would lick the paintbrush to moisten it or get a fine tip on there, and then dip it in there and over again. So they're putting this in small quantities, but over time they developed, you know, these cancers and things like that. And so it brought up this whole movement of employment and the morality of what we, knowing the exposure that we're putting people at risk of, and standing up for that, defending that, proving that it was not right to use this thing and whatever. And so it's interesting that it says the destroyer is most similar to the mineral kingdom radium, because it's such a powerful energy that it actually creates this luminescent glow, and it's very an attractive and powerful thing, but it can also be extremely destructive and volatile if misused or mishandled or not understood, so you could say. So that's the first ray. In the vegetable kingdom, the second ray is peculiarly active. Among the other things, the magnetic attractiveness of flowers. The mystery of the second ray is found to be hidden in the significance of the perfume of flowers. Perfume and radium are related, being emanatory expressions of ray effects upon differing groupings of material substance. The third ray is in its turn peculiarly related to, okay, so that one back there, really quick. The second ray is found in the vegetable kingdom, particularly it says in the flowers. Flowers, growth, form of vegetation, plant life, whatever. And the ability of the flower to produce this emanating perfume, a scent that draws you in to inhale it and take it in. It's just a beautiful thing, and it's just a natural, beautiful thing. And it embodies that deity expression of being magnetizing, drawing you into it. And the third ray, in its turn, peculiarly related to the animal kingdom, producing the tendency to intelligent activity, which we note in the higher domestic animals, the correspondence to radioactivity and to emanatory perfumes, which we found in the mineral and vegetable kingdoms, we here call devotion, the characteristic of attractive interplay between the domestic animals and man. I'm like dogs and cats, domesticated animals. Devotees of personalities might more rapidly transmute that devotion into its higher correspondence, a love of principles, if they realized that they were only displaying an animal emanation. So right there, that's a really quick 1-2 punch to the community that is highly devoted in a religious sense, that it says that they would probably transmute that devotion to personalities, so say to an individual that is represented in a religious teaching. If they would transmute that devotion if they understood that that was actually just an animal emanation, which is basically like they would consider the animal kingdom as less conscious or aware of itself and its purpose, and how its actions and behaviors can be higher on the scale. It's saying that devotion, and as we go through this later, you'll see that they say that the ray 6, the ray of kind of that devotee energy of embodying that ray of deity, of being able to express a love and be so committed and devoted to it, and not like that idling type of way. that's passing away. The individuals that are on that ray type are passing away, and new entities are being incarnated that represent a different ray type that is less attached to that devotion, which is, in this sense, an animal emanation, and representing basically like a dog is to its owner. It's not the highest form of consciousness available to us as expressions of soul on earth. The desire of deity expresses itself through a second ray of love wisdom. Through the second ray of love wisdom. Desire is a word which has been prostituted to cover the tendency of humanity to crave material things or those pleasures which bring satisfaction to the sensuous nature. It is applied to those conditions which will satisfy the personality, but in the last analysis, desire is essentially love. So again, it's just saying that how we pervert concepts. We pervert the concept of desire by thinking that it's just about sensuality and sensuous pleasure and things like that. Desire is actually an expression of love, just like the flower attracts and brings you in. It's something that it brings joy, and that expression of deity is love. So it attracts, magnetizes into it, not for the purpose of being selfish or having its way or anything like we understand desire to be. It's just an expression, pure in of itself, valuable in and of itself, not needing to be prostituted out, as it says here. The desire to express itself by attractiveness, by its capacity to draw to itself and into the radius of its influence that which is loved. It is the bond of coherence and is that principle of magnetism, magnetic cohesion, which lies behind all creative work and which produces the emergence into the light of manifestation of those forms or appearances through which it is possible to satisfy desire. So again, the combination of these three rays, first, second, and third ray, is the secret of manifestation. It is the three pieces of all creation, okay, because that's how original deity created all things. So these are from the three that emanates all things, from that original consciousness, that unity broke down into these three, and that's what creates another four out of the septonate, the seven, that creates the seven rays. So these are the three primary deity divine expressions. So this is, again, very important to understand that this is what's behind all creative work. So this second ray is preeminently the ray of applied consciousness, and works through the creation and development of those forms which are found throughout the universe. They are essentially mechanisms for the development of responsiveness or awareness. They are sensitive machines responsive to an enveloping environment. This is true of all forms, from that of a crystal to that of a solar system. They have been created in the great process of satisfying desire and of providing the media of contact, which will guarantee a progressive satisfaction. So they call into being through that desire and then attract to it the satisfaction of that desire, which is existence itself, the creative work in itself, not self-serving or manipulating things to act upon them or anything like that. It's no malicious or devious intent. It's pure, the pure form of creating and using your ability to attract and then manifest that which you desire. And it's not desire in a selfish sense or in a 3D sense where it's like, I desire this car and this bank account balance and this, XYZ, because it satisfies an image of a falsehood, because that's the appearance, that's the matter, only one piece of the equation. When you evolve consciousness, you're God conscious, which is the only potentially available to each of us. You understand that you can manifest so much more than any of those things, and that whatever you were trying to impress is actually, it falls away, because you're more powerful than it. You're more powerful than all things, and what you can really do is going to be really powerful, but you have to align yourself with your birth chart so that you can actually see what you're meant to do, so that you can be in that flow and that you can receive and do this creative work more easily. When we try to manifest things that aren't for us, that's when you have roadblocks or blocks, or you attain it for a small bit of time and then it falls apart because it wasn't gained in a natural way. We've gone against the natural order and the natural creative process. We call it like playing God. The reason you shouldn't play God is because you have God force within you and you can actually do it the real way. So not playing at it and being manipulative of the situation. Spirit knows that, divine, your inner being knows that it was gotten ill-gotten ways, so it's going to fall away just as quickly as it was gained. All will be made right. In the human family, the effect of this dual interplay of life, desiring satisfaction, and of form, providing the field of experience, is a consciousness which is striving towards a love of the formless instead of a desire for form, the body and all physical things, and the wise adaptation of all experience to the process of transmuting desire into love. So that's why the Buddha was all about releasing, your wants and your desires and all of those things. It's saying here in a kind of a different way of just understanding that it's not that you don't want things, it's that you don't want for things frivolously or erroneously. You have an intention behind everything that you desire because you understand that you are here to express a higher desire. And you play that part because you know that it will be the best experience for you. Because to be your highest version of yourself, as you were intrinsically created, it's not something that you're not going to like, usually. So that's why people are they push away this idea of predestiny or something that's divined or set, because they don't like the idea of something being fated or predicted. They don't fully understand that it might actually be exactly what they want because it's in their true to their true essence, but they're just resisting it because they don't want to be controlled. But then they go through these loops and these cycles in life that are just everything falling away because it's not, there's something better. And I like how it says here also that form, so the physical, is meant to provide a field of experience. So that is why we are here. It's not to renounce completely physicality and all things that are sensuous, such as the five senses. That is what we're here for, is to experience. But we have to understand that we're not just here arbitrarily, just trying to seek every single experience just because it exists. There's a divine order where there could be, which manifests a lot of other gifts on the path. I keep interrupting and forgetting my place. Here we go. Transmuting desire into love. So that is our wisest way to adapt this process, is to transmute, which means change into, evolve, desire into love. Hence, this ray is par excellence the dual ray of the solar logos himself, and hence colors all manifested forms, directing all consciousness in all forms, in all kingdoms of nature, and in all fields of development. It carries the life through the range of forms in that basic search or urge for the attainment of bliss through the satisfaction of desire. This urge and the interaction of the pairs of opposites produced the varying types of conscious reaction to experience, which in their main stages we call consciousness, animal consciousness, and allied differentiating phrases. This second ray is the ray of deity itself and is colored by distinctive aspects of desire or love. They produce the totality of the manifested appearances, animated by the life which determines the quality. The Father, Spirit, or life wills to seek the satisfaction of desire. That's the first step. The Mother, or matter, meets the desire and is attracted also by the Father. Second step. Their mutual response initiates the creative work, and the Son is born, inheriting from the Father the urge to desire or love, and from the Mother the tendency actively to create forms. Thus, in the language of symbolism, have the form worlds come into being. And through this evolutionary work, the process is going forward of satisfying the desire of spirit. Thus, in the two major rays of will and love, we have the two main characteristics of the divine nature, which lie latent behind all the myriad of forms. The eons will see these two energies steadily dominating all appearance and driving the created world onto a full display of the divine nature. This is the true gods and men. I'm a little tired, so I'm going too fast. Let me read that again. This is true of gods and men. But in the same way in which the Father contributes to the Son the divine qualities of will and love, so the Mother contributes much also, and the initial duality is increased and the qualities are enhanced by the addition of a quality inherent in matter itself, the quality or ray of intelligent activity. This is the third of the divine attributes and completes, if I may so express it, the equipment of the appearing forms, and predisposes all creation to an intelligent appreciation of the true goal of desire and to an intelligent use of the technique of form building in order to reveal divine purpose. Again, going back to, I think, the opening of this whole book and the introduction, where Bailey says that those who are a part of the new group of world servers, they will be given power to go to use freely to carry out the divine plan, which is ever unfolding as knowledge of will and self and the seven rays in your place using them. It's a great responsibility. So they look for disciples that are able to be responsible and receptive and disciplined in order to express this. But it says here that the equipment of all appearing forms is predisposed to all creation to an intelligent appreciation of the true goal of desire. I forgot where I was going, so that's why I'm kind of stalling here, rereading the whole thing. Yeah, so it gives you the intelligent use. So this is why the third position is still important, it's saying. So the mother also gives her gifts, because the mother energy, the feminine energy. Actually, I was going to say something that I had thought about this too, that kind of goes in a different direction, an opposing theory of this. But how it says here is the Father contributes the will of desire, and then the attractiveness to it, the ability to attract to it, the mother, and then she in her turn is receptive and then gives her piece, which is the manifestation into form, so that it can be done, it can be birthed into the world. So this says that when the aspirant or the disciple is actually attuned to what that creative work is that needs to be done by that unique person, you will be given the power to create and harness from these three energies, these divine expressions, where you can single out your desire or will, call it into your radius, attract it into your radius so that it can be born, and use that mother energy to manifest it and make it physically present by intelligent appreciation of the true goal, intelligent use of the technique of form building in order to reveal divine purpose. So when you were working on purpose, then you were able to master this technique. The knower, man, is the custodian of that wisdom, which will enable him to further the divine plan and bring the will of God to fruition. The field of knowledge is so constituted that it vibrates with intelligent response to the slowly emerging will. Knowledge itself is that which knows its own ends and works towards those ends through the process of experiment, expectation, experience, examination, and exaltation, which produces a final exit. That's that spiritual scientific method it looked like. Words such as these are synthetic symbols conveying a cosmic story in terms of constructive brevity. I'm going to see if I can pull what I had thought originally about this kind of third energy thing, because it gives two characteristics from the father and one characteristic from the mother. But I think that in our terms, instead of mother, father, it's just like in as above, so below. So it's just the masculine and the feminine energy, which is in both, creates this possibility. So it's, I don't have it right now, but if I think of it, I'll put it into another video when I come back to it. It was when I was studying. Father's desire with love attracts mother's intelligent response and produces forms, sons, expressions of the quality of the life. So the father uses its masculine energy to put forth an effort, to effort their desire. And it uses the feminine energy, the unseen, to attract it in, to receive. Masculine is a action, the plus sign of the battery that protrudes, goes out, and the feminine is the minus, it receives. And it uses that energy to manifest its will. The mother does act in a masculine way by producing and giving birth, but she also first receives the spark or the call to channel in what she is to birth. So she's also using her masculine and feminine energy. And it produces the product of the sun, which probably also does it in its own way. Not quite what I was thinking, but it's kind of on the lines of it. I'm just going to continue on. Almost done here. Thus, the three rays of will, love, and intelligence produce appearance, donate quality, and through the life principle, which is the underlying aspect of unity, ensure continuity of growth until such time as the will of God has evidenced itself as power, has attracted to itself the desired, has with wisdom utilized the experience of a gradually growing satisfaction, and has intelligently applied the gain of experience to the production of forms more sensitive, more beautiful, and more fully expressive of the quality of the life. So that's what we're doing as we create more and more and more through this experience that we call life. We're becoming more sensitive to the divine will, which is the will within us, what we really desire, what we really want to see outpictured in society and the world around us. Is it really to be controlled, or is it really to be surrendered to an external force where we have this master-servant relationship, like a dog being pet, on the head for doing a good job, for doing things? Or do we really want to embody those principles? That's what I didn't really stress here, where the Tibetan says what devotees of personalities would transmute their devotion to its higher correspondence. The higher correspondence of devotion is a love of principles. So we talk about this often with people who are comfortable with going there with me when we talk about religion. And I don't talk about this with a lot of people. I don't talk about a lot of things with a lot of people because they're free to do what they want. They're free to live their path. But if they do come to me and ask my opinion, I say with religion, I understand that there is a transmuted, a higher state, more divine, conscious state, because what if you found out tomorrow that that story that you've been told was not true, was a fiction? A lot of people would fall apart at the understanding of that. But you would have to be so resolute in who you are that you understand that you're not really loving the story and you're not really devoted to the story, you're devoted to the principles. So you wouldn't just lose the 10 Commandments, say, just because you understood that the Bible was, if it did prove that there was something that was incongruent there. I'm not saying there is, not saying there isn't, but I'm just saying if that was hypothetically to happen, you wouldn't just fall apart. You would understand that those principles, I live by those principles, not because there's a promise of a heaven in the afterlife, but because I understand that it's intrinsically right. It's in alignment with who I am. And I understand that I get more in life through being in that flow of being pure in my intention, of being forthright and honest and speaking the truth, even when it's kind of uncomfortable, doing the right thing, even when it's uncomfortable, or even when I might not be seen in my highest light, because it's just, I'm not going to get, punished for it in the afterlife. It's because it's the right thing here and now. And there are gifts built into this experience through the law of causality, causation, where you cause and effect and all these things, the law of attraction, mirrors that. You're going to attract in more of what you give out. And if you give out this idea that you're only doing something because you want to be rewarded in the afterlife, it's not something that you really hold beyond the fact that you were told to do it. So it's just like an animal devotion. You're just tethered to those beliefs because it helps you get that treat at the end of the day. Good boy, here's your treat. You're like, no, really what you're loving is the principles that it gives you. It gives you a principled nature, rules to live by that mirror your divinity. And that's where you elevate that devotion and that religiousness, that religiosity to a higher level. And then it's commendable that you live by such principles, like a monk who's been devoted to practice meditation for years and years up on a mountain. You're like, I admire that devotion because you're devoted to the principles, not to the reward that you're promised or a carrot that's dangled or the fear of not having it or missing out or being excluded from some group. Sorry. But yes. I'll start with that section over again. Thus, the three rays of will, love, and intelligence produce appearance, donate quality, and through the life principle, which is the underlying aspect of unity, ensure the continuity of growth until such time as the will of God has evidenced itself as power, has attracted to itself the desired, has with wisdom utilized the experience of a gradually growing satisfaction, and has intelligently applied the gain of experience to the production of forms more sensitive, more beautiful, and more fully expressive of the quality of the life. Love that. Closing here. Each of these rays is dual in time and space, though only the second ray is dual when they are regarded from the standpoint of the final abstraction. And their temporary duality can be seen for each of them, the interplay, which we call cause and effect. Wow, that's what I was just talking about. Ray 1, will, or dynamically applied, emerges in manifestation as power. So when we exert our will, we manifest, and we see the reaction of asserting the divine will is that we manifest power. Just like that first ray, like we were talking about, the destroyer. With great power comes great responsibility. We're expressing the will of God, so we're going to have a lot of power in our hands, but only a few will be able to wield that because you have to have that purity of heart that you're not going to use it for destructive, for your own selfish means, like revenge and spite. Spite produces the worst karma. Spite produces the worst karma, so we don't act in spite. We learn how to compute and discern the lesson. What did we do in this that attracted this situation that's producing this rage, and how can we transmute it to represent our love of principles and the power within us that realigns us to never attract that same thing again? Because if we act in spite and we misuse the power of our will, we attract the worst karma. Ray 2, love, magnetically functioning, produces wisdom. Cause and effect. When we express ray 2, love, our flower essence, it emerges a magnetic function that produces wisdom. So wisdom, because ray 2, love, love magnetically functioning produces wisdom. I'm at a loss right now. I can't really think of it. Oh, it's because it connects to the third ray. Intelligence, potentially found in substance, causes activity. So once we understand, so that's what it says, second ray is the ray of deity itself, and it tells us that we have a cause and effect. You recognize that cause and effect, that you emanate this and you attract that. When you exert this, then you bring forth this. Love brings into the radius or the attractive field, whatever you call upon. And so I found that somewhere. I don't know if I'm going to jump back to find it or to read it. I can do it. Sorry, I'm all over the place right now. I hope this is still kind of making sense right here. This desire expresses itself by attractiveness, by its capacity to draw to itself and into the radius of its influence that which is loved. So you have love and you attract into your radius of influence that which you love, and that produces a wisdom through that correspondence of understanding that causality, cause and effect. Likewise, if you think about what you hate all the time, you attract more of that which you hate into your radius, because the spirit and the unconscious can't discern your yes or your no. All it knows is what you're focusing on primarily. If you're focusing on how this never works out or this is not going to work, then you're going to manifest into it, because all it knows is love. What you think about must be what you love. What you obsess over must be what you love, right? So more of that thing. If they're thinking about what they hate, then let me give them more of what they hate. But that should produce wisdom still in equal measure. If a person recognizes, oh, there's a cause and effect wisdom here. So let me just flip this so that I can do the creative work accurately to really manifest what in form I actually wanted and intended to manifest. And lastly, ray 3 is intelligence, potentially found in substance, causes activity. So when this is the mother energy, the matter, where you have forms intelligently applied, intelligent activity is used. So like we said, and that they build upon each other. So once you recognize through that wisdom, you go through this field of knowledge, the scientific method here, experiment, expectation, experience, examination, and exaltation. You intelligently apply what you've learned so that you can cause activity to come about. And that activity is that manifestation, that birthing into experience. All right, so the next section is going to be going over 4, 5, and 6 of the rays and how the result of the interplay of these first 3, the creative work, these 3 major rays, can be seen in the activity of the 4 minor rays. It's because the 1 divides into the 3 and then divides into the 4. I don't feel the best about this video, but I'm going to just put it out there to move forward because I have more stuff to do and get to. I've been really busy lately, but I still want to commit to progressing in this study as well. So I'm going to finish with a great invocation. Thank you for watching. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ consciousness return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. Thank you for being. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.